The crash landing. The crimson sky of Nexus 9 blazed with otherworldly fury as Zara, the last known survivor of alien species, crouched in the dense undergrowth of the planet's lush jungle. Her iridescent scales shimmered in the dying light of the alien sun, her forearms tense and ready for action. For cycles upon cycles, she had been alone on this world, the sole guardian of her people's legacy. The tranquility of her solitary existence shattered as a burning object tore through the atmosphere, leaving a trail of smoke and fire in its wake. Zora's compound eyes widened, her antennae twitching with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She had seen ships fall from the sky before. It was how her people had been eradicated by the fearsome craft empire. But this vessel was different, smaller and of a design she had never encountered. As the ship plummeted towards the surface, Zara's mind raced. Was this the return of the craft? Had they come to finish what they started? Or was it something else entirely? The vessel disappeared behind the tree line, and moments later, a thunderous crash echoed through the jungle, followed by the screech of tearing metal and the snapping of ancient trees. Caution warred with curiosity in Zara's mind. Every instinct told her to retreat deeper into the jungle, to hide as she had done for so long. But a small voice, one that sounded remarkably like her long-dead mother, whispered of duty and the need to protect what remained of their world. With a soft, chittering sound of resignation, Zara began to make her way towards the crash site. As she approached, the acrid smell of burning fuel and molten metal assaulted her sensitive olfactory organs. Through gaps in the foliage, she could see the ship, a sleek silver craft, now broken and scarred. It was unlike anything the craft had ever used, which only heightened her apprehension. Suddenly, a hatch on the side of the ship burst open with a hiss of escaping pressure. Zara froze, her camouflage instinctively activating, blending her form seamlessly with the surrounding vegetation. From the smoking opening emerged a figure that made Zara's heart race with terror and fascination. The creature was bipedal, with 2 arms and a head of dark fur. Its skin was a pale pink, devoid of scales or chitin. It wore some form of protective suit, now torn and bloodied, as it stumbled from the wreckage, coughing and gasping. Zara realized she was looking at a species she had only heard of in ancient legends, a human. Captain Nina Reeves of the independent salvage vessel Starchaser fought to clear her lungs of smoke as she assessed her surroundings. The emergency landing, if one could call their uncontrolled descent that, had been a nightmare. But they were on solid ground, and that was something. As the ringing in her ears subsided, she called out to her crew, "Sound off. Is everyone all right?" One by one, voices responded from within the ship. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their xenobiologist, emerged next, her usually immaculate lab coat now smeared with grease. "Captain, I'm okay, but Ren is pinned in the engine room. We need to get him out." Nina nodded, her training kicking in despite the chaos. "Okay, Doc, you and I'll get Ren." "Dimitri," she called back into the ship, "once you've got your bearings, I need you to assess our situation. Comms, nav, life support, everything." As Nina turned to re-enter the ship, she felt an eerie sensation wash over her, as if they were being watched. Her hand instinctively moved to the pulse pistol at her hip as she scanned the dense jungle surrounding them. Years of traversing the most dangerous frontiers of space had honed her instincts, and right now, they were screaming that they weren't alone. Zara observed the humans with a mixture of fear and fascination. They were nothing like the merciless craft. These creatures seemed vulnerable, confused, lost. As she watched them scramble to aid their injured companion, she felt an unexpected pang of empathy. How long had it been since she had interacted with another sentient being? How long since she had felt the warmth of compassion or the comfort of companionship? The fate of 2 worlds, of 2 species, hung in the balance. The story of Nexus 9 was about to be rewritten, with consequences that would echo across the stars. Unlikely alliances. Inside the ship, Nina and Yuki worked to free Ren, the young engineer trapped beneath a fallen beam. His face was pale, his breathing labored. "See, Captain," he gasped. "I'm sorry, I couldn't hold her together." "Save your breath, kid," Nina grunted as she and Yuki lifted the beam. "You got us on the ground, and that's what matters. We'll patch you up and have you trying to sweet-talk the engines in no time." As they carefully extracted Ren from the wreckage, Litri's voice crackled over the ship's damaged intercom. "Captain, you need to see this. Our long-range comms are fried, and the NAS system is showing, well, it's not good." Nina helped Yuki settle Ren onto a makeshift bed before making her way to the bridge. Dmitri, their grizzled navigator, sat before a flickering holographic display, his face grim. "We're way off course, Nina," he said, dispensing with formalities. "This planet, it's not on any of our charts. We're in uncharted space." The weight of their situation settled on Nina's shoulders. A damaged ship, an unknown world, no way to call for help. She took a deep breath, centering herself. "All right, we've been in tough spots before. We focus on survival first, repairs second. We'll figure out where we are and how to get home once we're not in immediate danger of becoming this planet's newest permanent residents." As the humans busied themselves with their immediate survival, Zara found herself drawn closer to their crash site. Their language was strange, unlike anything she had ever heard, but their actions spoke volumes. They cared for each other, worked together, faced their dire situation with a resolve that stirred something long dormant within her. For so long, Zara had believed that her isolation was a strength, a shield against the cruelty of a universe that had taken everything from her. But watching these humans, she began to wonder if perhaps there was another way. Could there be strength in connection, in trust? As night fell on Nexus 9, bringing with it the eerie bioluminescence of the jungle's nocturnal life, Zara made a decision that would alter the course of her life and the fate of the stranded human crew. She would reveal herself not as a threat, but as a potential ally. With slow, deliberate movements, Zara emerged from her hiding place, allowing her camouflage to fade. She raised all four of her arms in what she hoped would be seen as a universal gesture of peace, her compound eyes fixed on the human's vessel. Nina, stepping out of the ship to assess the exterior damage, froze as she caught sight of the alien being. Her hand flew to her weapon, but she didn't draw it. Something in the creature's posture, in the almost hesitant way it approached, stayed her hand. "My God," she breathed, loud enough for her crew to hear, "we're not alone out here." As human and lion regarded each other in the ethereal glow of the alien night, both realized that their encounter could be the beginning of something remarkable, or the prelude to tragedy. The next few moments would determine whether death or understanding would prevail on this distant, uncharted world. In that fragile, charged moment, the fate of two species hung in the balance, poised between the twin precipices of fear and hope. The story of Nexus 9 was about to be written anew, with consequences that would echo across the stars. The tense standoff between Captain Nina Reeves and Zara, the last Leon, stretched on for what felt like an eternity. The jungle around them pulsed with bioluminescent life, casting an otherworldly glow on the scene. Nina's crew had emerged from the ship, their faces a mix of awe and apprehension at the sight of the alien being before them. Dr. Yuki Tanaka was the first to break the silence, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "Captain," she whispered, "those markings, the physical structure. I've never seen anything like it. This could be a completely undiscovered species." Nina nodded slightly, never taking her eyes off Zara. "Let's hope they're the friendly kind," she murmured. Raising her voice and speaking slowly, she addressed the alien. "We mean you no harm. Our ship crashed. We're lost." Zara tilted her head, her antennae twitching as she processed the unfamiliar sounds. Slowly, she lowered two of her forearms, keeping the others raised in a continued gesture of peace. From a pouch at her side, she withdrew a small crystalline object. Dmitri tensed, his hand moving to his weapon. "Careful, Captain. We don't know what that thing can do." Nina held up a hand, silencing her crew. There was something in the alien's demeanor, a hesitancy, a vulnerability that made her want to trust this strange being. "It's okay," she said, as much to her crew as to Zara. "Let's see what happens." Zara activated the crystal, and a soft blue light emanated from it. Suddenly, the air between them shimmered, and Nina heard a voice, not with her ears, but directly in her mind. "Greetings, spy-felon ones. I am Zara, last of the Lions. Welcome to Nexus 9. The crew gasped collectively. Nina fought to keep her composure, marveling at the advanced technology that allowed for such perfect telepathic communication. "I'm Captain Nina Reeves of the salvage ship Starchaser. We didn't mean to intrude on your world." Zara's compound eyes seemed to soften. "Intention matters little in the face of circumstance, Captain. You are here now, and you are in danger." Before Nina could respond, a distant roar echoed through the jungle, causing the local wildlife to fall silent. Zara's posture changed instantly, her scales bristling. "We must seek shelter," she projected urgently. "The night brings hungry shadows to this part of the jungle." Nina hesitated only for a moment before making a decision that would alter the course of their stay on Nexus 9. "Our ship's not going anywhere soon. If you have a safe place, we'd be grateful for the help." Zara nodded, her relief palpable even through her alien features. "Follow closely. The path is treacherous to those unfamiliar with our world." As they prepared to move, Ren, the injured engineer, stumbled out of the ship, supported by Yuki. "Captain," he gasped, "we can't just leave the Starchaser. All our supplies, our equipment." Nina looked at her damaged ship, then at the darkening jungle around them. "We'll come back for what we need, Ren. Right now, our survival depends on trusting our new friend." With Zara leading the way, the human crew ventured into the bioluminescent forest, the alien guiding them through a world both wondrous and deadly, towards an uncertain future where the lines between species would blur and the true nature of survival would be redefined. The hidden city. The alien moved with a fluid grace, her forearms occasionally reaching out to push aside giant leaves or hold back thorny vines. Nina and Dmitri supported Ren between them, while Yuki brought up the rear, her eyes wide with wonder at the alien flora surrounding them. As they traveled, Zara began to share her story through the crystal's telepathic link. "Long ago, my people were a thriving civilization. We lived in harmony with Nexus 9, building our cities in the treetops and deep underground. But then the craft came." Images flashed through the humans' minds, great ships darkening the sky, weapons of unimaginable power, cities burning. Nina felt a wave of empathy for their alien guide. "The craft, they destroyed your people." Zara's mental voice was tinged with sorrow. "They came for our world's resources. My people fought, but we were unprepared for the brutality of interstellar war. I was but a child when the last of our great cities fell. A group of elders managed to hide me away in a stasis pod deep within a sacred temple. When I awoke, I was alone." The group fell silent, the weight of Zara's tragic history hanging heavily in the air. Even Dmitri, usually skeptical of anything alien, felt a pang of sympathy for the lone survivor. After what seemed like hours of trekking through the dense jungle, they arrived at the base of an enormous tree, its trunk wider than the Starchaser. Zara placed her hand on a seemingly random part of the bark, and a hidden door slid open, revealing a lift platform. "My sanctuary," Zora explained, "one of the few safe places left on this world." The lift carried them up into the tree's massive canopy. As they ascended, Nina marveled at the ingenuity of the lion architecture, seamlessly blending technology with the natural world. When the lift finally stopped, they stepped out into a spacious chamber that seemed to be a combination of living quarters and research lab. Yuki immediately set about tending to Ren's injuries, using a mix of their own medical supplies and some of Zara's alien remedies. Dmitri began to explore the chamber, his natural curiosity overcoming his initial wariness. Nina turned to Zara, who was watching the humans with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. "Thank you for helping us," the captain said. But I have to ask, why? After what happened to your people, I'd understand if you wanted nothing to do with outsiders. Zara was quiet for a moment, her antennae drooping slightly. When she responded, her mental voice was soft, almost wistful. For too long, I have been alone. Watching your crew, how you care for each other, it reminded me of what I lost, what my people lost. Perhaps in helping you, I can honor their memory. As if to underscore the captain's words, Yuki called out excitedly from where she was treating Ren. Captain, look at this. The cellular regeneration rate using Zara's medicine is off the charts. This could revolutionize trauma care across the galaxy. Zara's eyes seemed to brighten at Yuki's enthusiasm. Your healer is skilled. Perhaps she would be interested in learning more about our medical techniques. Nina smiled, seeing the first bridges of understanding being built between their species. I'm sure she'd be thrilled. And maybe you could teach us more about surviving on Nexus 9. In return, we can share what we know about the wider galaxy, help you prepare in case the craft ever return. As the night wore on, Human and Lion began to exchange knowledge and stories. Yuki and Zara pored over ancient Lian medical texts, while Dmitri taught the alien about recent advancements in space travel. Ren, feeling better thanks to the combined medical efforts, began to examine some of the Lian technology with undisguised awe. Nina watched it all with a growing sense of hope. They were stranded on an unknown world, yes, but they had found an ally, perhaps even a friend. As she looked out over the moonlit canopy of Nexus 9, she couldn't help but feel that this crash landing might lead to something far greater than a simple salvage mission. However, unbeknownst to the newfound allies, deep in the jungle below, something stirred. The roar that had hastened their retreat echoed once more, closer this time. Whatever creature called Nexus 9 home alongside Zara was on the move, drawn perhaps by the scent of the crashed ship or the presence of the newcomers. As the humans settled in for their first night on this alien world, and as Zara experienced the first companionship she had known in years, none of them were aware of the ancient, slumbering forces their arrival had awakened, forces that would soon test the fragile alliance between human and Lian, and challenge them all in ways they could scarcely imagine. The true trials of Nexus 9 were only just beginning. Betrayal and redemption. As the first light of Nexus 9's alien sun filtered through the dense canopy, Nina awoke to find Zara already active, her forearms gracefully manipulating holographic displays filled with complex data. The Lian's compound eyes flickered towards the stirring humans, a gesture Nina was beginning to recognize as a smile. Good morning, Skyfellan friends, Zara's mental voice resonated warmly. I trust you found rest, despite the foreign sounds of our world. Nina nodded, stretching out the kinks from sleeping on the unfamiliar surface. Better than I expected, actually. Thank you again for your hospitality, Zara. As the rest of the crew began to stir, Yuki approached Zara with barely contained excitement. I've been reviewing the medical data you shared last night, she said, her eyes shining. The potential applications are staggering, but there's so much more I don't understand. You mentioned other research centers. Is there any chance they survived? Zara's antennae drooped slightly, a gesture of sadness. Most were destroyed in the craft invasion, but, she paused, her mental voice tinged with hope. There is one place, the Great Archive, hidden deep beneath the surface. If any of our advanced knowledge survived, it would be there. Nina, overhearing the conversation, stepped closer. This archive, could it also have technology that might help us repair our ship? Zara's eyes sparkled with an intensity that needed no translation. Possible. The archive was more than a repository of knowledge. It was a nexus of our most advanced research, weapons, shields, faster-than-light travel. All were studied there. Dmitri, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. If this place has FTL tech, we might be able to do more than just fix a Starchaser. We could upgrade her, maybe even find a way to warn your people about the craft. The implications hung heavy in the air. Nina looked at each of her crew members, seeing the mix of excitement and apprehension on their faces. Finally, she turned to Zara. "This archive, can you take us there?" Zara's form seemed to tense, her scales shifting colors slightly. "The path is treacherous, guarded by ancient defenses and the evolved predators of the deep jungle. I have never dared the journey alone. But with your help, perhaps." Nina nodded decisively. "Then we go together." "Ren, how are you feeling? Up for a trek?" The young engineer grinned, flexing his newly healed arm. "Never better, Captain. Whatever that stuff was Zara and Doc cooked up, it works miracles." "Good," Nina said, "because we're going to need everyone at their best. Dimitri, what supplies do we have?" The navigator ran through their inventory quickly. "We've got enough rations for a few days, basic survival gear, and our personal weapons. Not ideal for a jungle expedition, but it'll have to do." Nina turned back to Zara. "Anything specific we should prepare for?" The Leon's mental voice became grave. "The jungle floor is home to creatures that have grown large and cunning in the absence of my people, and the deeper we go, the stranger things become. The archive itself is protected by security systems that may still be active. We must be cautious." With a plan in place, the unlikely team began their preparations. Zara shared her knowledge of the local flora and fauna, pointing out which plants could be used for medicine and which were deadly to the touch. Yuki absorbed every detail, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. As they were about to leave the safety of Zara's treetop sanctuary, a distant roar echoed through the jungle, causing everyone to freeze. It was the same sound they had heard the night before, but closer now, more menacing. Zara's mental voice was tight with concern. "The Shadow Stalker. A predator I've never seen, only heard. It's been growing bolder lately, venturing closer to the old cities. We must move quickly and quietly." With tension adding urgency to their steps, the group descended from the massive tree and set out into the untamed wilds of Nexus 9. Zara led the way, her forearms often busy clearing paths, checking directions, and gesturing warnings to the humans behind her. As they trekked deeper into the jungle, the environment around them began to change. The bioluminescent plants grew more numerous and strange. Floating spores drifted through the air, glowing with an inner light. Vast fungi formations created natural archways and bridges between the towering trees. Yuki was in a constant state of awe, her datapad out, recording everything she saw. "The biodiversity here is unbelievable," she whispered. "The evolutionary paths these species must have taken." Dimitri, ever the pragmatist, kept his eyes on the surrounding shadows. "Just remember, Doc, everything probably evolved to eat everything else. Stay alert." As if to punctuate his warning, a group of monkey-like creatures with 6 limbs and iridescent fur suddenly burst from a canopy above, chittering and howling. The humans instinctively reached for their weapons, but Zara raised a hand to stop them. "Tree trotters," she explained, "harmless unless cornered. They're running from something." No sooner had she said this than a massive shape crashed through the undergrowth behind them. It was like nothing the humans had ever seen. A predator the size of a small shuttle, with a body like a centipede but a head resembling a veinous flytrap. Its dozens of legs ended in wickedly sharp claws, and its plant-like maw was lined with rows of serrated teeth. "Run!" Zara's mental shout galvanized them into action. The group sprinted through the jungle, leaping over fallen logs and ducking under low-hanging vines. The creature, which Nina's mind unhelpfully dubbed the Nexus Nightmare, pursued with terrifying speed and agility for its size. Just when it seemed the beast would overtake them, Zara led them through a narrow crevice in a rock face. The opening was too small for the massive predator, and its frustrated roars echoed behind them as they emerged into a hidden valley. Gasping for breath, the humans took in their new surroundings. Before them stretched the ruins of what must have once been a magnificent city. Spiraling towers of crystal and living wood reached towards the sky, while the remnants of advanced technology peeked out from beneath centuries of overgrowth. "Welcome," Zara said, her mental voice filled with a mixture of pride and sorrow, to Zephyr, the last great city of the lions. As they stood there, marveling at the alien beauty of the ruined city, Nina felt a shiver run down her spine. They had found the hidden city, yes, but she couldn't shake the feeling that their trials were only beginning. Somewhere in the depths of this place lay the great archive, and with it, perhaps the key to their survival and the redemption of Zara's people. But as another roar, different from the creature that had just escaped, and somehow more chilling, echoed in the distance, Nina realized that reaching the archive would be a challenge unlike any they had faced before. The secrets of Nexus 9 were not given up easily, and the price of knowledge might be higher than any of them were prepared to pay. With a deep breath, Nina steeled herself for what was to come. "All right, team," she said, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "Let's see what secrets this city is hiding." As they began their descent into the ruins of Zephyr, none of them noticed the pair of gleaming eyes watching from the shadows, nor the silent figure that began to trail their every move. The hidden city had awakened, and it was ready to test these new intruders, as it had tested so many before. The final stand. As the group ventured deeper into the ruins of Zephyr, the air grew thick with tension and ancient mysteries. Zara led them through crumbling corridors and overgrown plazas, her mental voice providing a running commentary on the wonders they passed. "This was the Hall of Elders," she explained as they entered a vast chamber with a domed ceiling depicting celestial bodies. "Here, our greatest minds gathered to make decisions that would shape our civilization." Yuki marveled at the faded murals and dormant technology. "It's incredible, Zara. Your people achieved so much." As they progressed, Mitri noticed something unsettling. "Captain," he whispered to Nina, "we're being followed. I see movement in the shadows, always just at the edge of my vision." Nina nodded grimly. "I felt it too. Stay alert, everyone." Their path eventually led them to a massive set of doors, adorned with intricate symbols. Zara placed all four of her hands on specific points, and the doors slowly creaked open, revealing a cavernous space filled with rows upon rows of crystalline structures. "The Great Archive," Zara announced, her mental voice filled with reverence. As they entered, lights flickered to life, illuminating the vast repository of lion knowledge. The humans spread out, examining the alien technology with a mixture of awe and excitement. Ren's eyes lit up as he studied a holographic display. "Captain, this is incredible. The advancements here, we could revolutionize space travel, energy production, maybe even terraforming." Nina felt a surge of hope. With this technology, they could not only repair the Starchaser, but potentially change the course of human history. However, her optimism was short-lived. A cold, unfamiliar voice echoed through their minds. "So, a last Leon returns, bringing outsiders to our sacred halls." The team spun around to find themselves surrounded by shadowy figures. As they stepped into the light, Nana gasped. They were lions, but unlike Zara, their bodies were augmented with cybernetic enhancements, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The leader, a towering lion with multiple mechanical arms, addressed Zara. "You disappoint us, young one. We had hoped you would be stronger." Zara's mental voice trembled. "Elder sees. But how? I thought everyone was gone." Tse's artificial eyes narrowed. "We survived by embracing evolution. When the craft came, we knew our organic forms were no match. So we adapted, merged with our technology. We became stronger." Nina stepped forward, her hand on her weapon. "What do you want from us?" Tse turned his cold gaze to the human captain. "Your ship, your technology. With it, we can finally take the fight to the craft, reclaim our place among the stars." "But that would make you no better than the craft," Zara protested. His voice grew harsh. "Survival requires sacrifice, child. You've brought us the means to our resurrection. Now, stand aside." In that moment, Nina realized the true nature of their predicament. They weren't just explorers anymore. They had become pawns in an ancient conflict. She looked at her crew, saw the fear and determination in their eyes, and made a decision. "We won't help you start another war," Nina declared firmly. What followed was chaos. The cybernetic lions attacked, their enhanced bodies moving with frightening speed. Nina and her crew fought back, their weapons seeming pitiful against the advanced adversaries. Zara, torn between her loyalty to her people and her newfound friends, made a choice that would define her. She accessed the archive's systems, using her knowledge to activate the city's ancient defenses. Suddenly, the ground shook. Holographic warriors sprang to life, engaging the cybernetic lions. In the confusion, Nina and her team, along with Zara, managed to escape the archive chamber. As they ran through the crumbling city, pursued by C's and his followers, Zara's mental voice rang out. "There's a hidden hangar. If we can reach it, we might find a ship." They fought their way through the ruins, the city itself seeming to come alive around them. Ancient traps and defense systems activated, some helping them, others hindering their progress. Finally, they reached the hangar. Inside stood a sleek Leon vessel, untouched by time. As they boarded, C's and his cybernetic army burst in. "You cannot escape," C's roared. "We will follow you across the stars if we must." Zora, her hands flying over the ship's controls, turned to Nina. "Captain, I can initiate the city's self-destruct sequence. It will seal the archive forever, but..." Nina understood the weight of the decision. This was Zora's heritage, the last remnant of her civilization. But the alternative was unleashing a vengeful, cybernetically enhanced army on the galaxy. With a heavy heart, Nina nodded. "Do it." As the ship lifted off, Zora sent the command. The ground beneath them began to shake violently, C's anguished cry cut short as the hangar doors closed behind them. They soared into the sky of Nexus 9, watching as the hidden city of Zephyr collapsed in on itself, sealing away its secrets forever. In the days that followed their narrow escape, Nina and her crew worked alongside Zara to integrate Leon technology with the Starchaser. The ship was not only repaired, but enhanced beyond their wildest dreams. As they prepared to leave Nexus 9, a somber mood fell over the group. Zora stood at the viewport, gazing down at the world that had been her solitary home for so long. Nina approached her, placing a hand gently on one of Zora's arms. "You don't have to leave, you know. This is your home." Zora turned, her compound eyes shimmering with emotion. "No, Nina. My home died long ago. What I found with you and your crew, that is where I belong now." As the Starchaser lifted off, leaving Nexus 9 behind, they all felt the weight of their experiences. They had come seeking repairs and found so much more: friendship, understanding, and a new perspective on the vastness of the universe. Yuki was already compiling her notes, eager to share their discoveries with the scientific community back home. Ren and Dmitri excitedly discussed the potential of their new Leon-enhanced systems. And Nina, watching her expanded crew, felt a sense of pride and purpose she hadn't known in years. But their journey was far from over. As they entered the depths of space, Zora's sensors picked up an alarming signal. A craft warship, massive and ominous, appeared on their scanners. They must have detected the energy surge from Zephyr's destruction. Zora's mental voice was tight with fear. Nina's jaw set with determination. "Well, crew, looks like we've got one more fight ahead of us. Let's show them what this new alliance of ours can do." As the Starchaser faced off against the looming craft vessel, the unlikely team of humans and the last lion stood united. Whatever the outcome, they would face it together, a testament to the unexpected bonds forged in the crucible of Nexus 9. The final battle was about to begin, not just for their survival, but for the future of interstellar relations. As energy weapons charged and shields hummed to life, Nina couldn't help but smile. They had come expecting death from the unknown, only to find friendship and a cause worth fighting for. With Zora at her side and her loyal crew at their stations, Captain Nina Rees gave the order. "All hands, battle stations. Let's make history." The Starchaser surged forward, a beacon of hope and unity in the vast, star-studded darkness of space. The adventure that had begun with a crash landing on a mysterious world was now poised to change the course of galactic history. As human and lion technology worked in harmony, as a crew forged in adversity stood strong, they faced their future with courage and determination. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the first shots were fired, marking the beginning of a new era, one where the boundaries between species blurred and the true potential of cooperation across the cosmos began to unfold. And so, the legacy of Nexus 9 lived on. The turning tide. The Starchaser danced through the void, its lion-enhanced engines propelling it in ways that defied human engineering. At the helm, Captain Nina Rees gritted her teeth, her knuckles white on the controls. Beside her, Zara's compound eyes flickered over the sensor readouts, her mental voice guiding the human crew through the intricacies of the alien technology. "Hard to starboard," Zara cried out, as a searing lance of energy shot past the viewport. The craft warship loomed before them, its hulking mass dwarfing the Starchaser. Yet, for all its size, the craft vessel seemed sluggish, slow to react to the nimble maneuvers of the hybridized ship. In the engine room, Ren's fingers flew over the controls, coaxing every last ounce of power from the Lian-human fusion drives. "She's holding together, Captain," he reported over the comm, his voice taut with concentration. "But I don't know how long we can sustain this." On the weapons station, Dmitri's face was lit by the glow of his targeting screens. "Weapons charged and ready, Captain. Just give the word." Nina's eyes narrowed, her tactical mind racing. The craft ship outgunned them, outmassed them, but they had something the craft didn't: agility and the combined ingenuity of two species. "Zara, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" The Leon's mental voice carried a hint of grim amusement. "The celestial gambit. It's risky, but it might be our only chance." Nina nodded, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "Ren, divert all power to the engines. Yuki, prepare for quantum entanglement on my mark. Dmitri, target their primary weapons array. It's time to show these bastards what the children of Earth and Nexus 9 can do." The Starchaser surged forward, its hull shimmering with the iridescent energy of the Lian shields. The craft ship opened fire, a storm of destruction that filled the void. But the Starchaser danced through the maelstrom, its movements precise, calculated, guided by the unified will of its crew. Initiating quantum entanglement. Now, Yuki's voice rang out, as the Starchaser seemed to flicker, its form blurring as it phased in and out of normal space. The craft's sensors, unaccustomed to this alien tactic, struggled to lock onto the elusive target. "We're in position," Zara cried out. "Dmitri, fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The Starchaser's weapons flared to life, a brilliant lance of energy that pierced the heart of the craft ship. The warship shuddered, its primary weapons array erupting in a cascade of explosions. "Direct hit," Dmitri whooped, his face split by a triumphant grin. "Their weapons are offline." But the celebration was short-lived. From the depths of the crippled craft ship, a swarm of smaller vessels emerged, fighters and boarding craft, their forms sleek and deadly. "Incoming," Yuki warned, her sensors lighting up with a myriad of new threats. "They're trying to flank us." Nina's mind raced, a desperate plan forming. "Ren, can you overload the fusion drives? Create a resonance burst." The engineer's voice was strained but determined. "I can try, Captain, but it'll fry our engines. We'll be dead in the water." Nina's jaw set. "Do it." Zara, prepared to broadcast on all frequencies. It's time to call for aid. As Ren worked frantically in the engine room, Zara's mental voice took on a new tenor, amplified by the ship's communication array. It rang out across the void, a clarion call, a plea to the stars themselves. "To all who hear this message, we are the crew of the Starchaser. We stand against the craft, against their campaign of destruction and oppression. But we cannot stand alone. We call upon all free species, all those who value life and liberty, to join us. The time has come to unite, to stand as one against the darkness. For if we fall, so falls the hope of all. For a moment, there was silence, the void of space seeming to swallow Zara's words. Then, one by one, new stars began to appear on the scanners. Ships, dozens of them, then hundreds, emerging from the depths of space. Some were human, others alien, their forms varied and wondrous. But all moved with a single purpose, a united front against the craft. Resonance burst ready, Captain. Ren's voice crackled over the comm. But the drive won't hold for long. Nina's eyes met Zara's, a moment of perfect understanding passing between human and Lian. Send it. The Starchaser shuddered as the resonance burst erupted from its engines, a shockwave of energy that rippled out through the void. The craft fighters, caught in its wake, tumbled and spun, their systems overloaded by the alien frequencies. And into this chaos, the Allied ships surged, a rainbow of colors and forms, united in their determination. Energy weapons flared, missiles streaked through the void as the battle was joined in earnest. At the heart of it all, the Starchaser hung, its engines dark, its crew watching in awe as the tide of battle turned. Ships they had never seen before fought side by side, human and alien crews working in harmony to drive back the craft. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The craft ship, its fighters decimated, its hull breached in a dozen places, shuddered and went dark. A cheer went up across the Allied fleet, a cry of victory that echoed across the stars. In the silence that followed, a single ship approached the Starchaser. Its hull was unmarked, its design unfamiliar. As it drew alongside, a hail crackled over the comm. Starchaser, this is the Nexus Alliance frigate Harmony. We stand ready to assist with repairs and medical aid, and we bring a message from the Alliance Council. Nina shared a look with her crew, a mix of exhaustion and elation on every face. This is Captain Nina Reeves. We welcome your aid and your message. The voice that responded was old, wise, filled with a quiet authority. Captain Reeves, on behalf of the free species of the galaxy, we thank you and your crew. Your actions today have lit a spark, a fire that will spread across the stars. The craft will learn that they do not stand unopposed, that there are those who will fight for the right of all species to live free. Nina felt tears welling in her eyes, a sudden rush of emotion threatening to overwhelm her. We didn't do it alone, she managed, her voice thick. We had help, friends we never expected to find. She looked at Zara, at the Lian who had become so much more than an ally. Zara's mental voice was soft, but filled with a fierce pride. My people may be gone, but their legacy lives on, in the bonds we forge, in the stand we take. Today, the galaxy has seen what unity can achieve. As repair crews from the Harmony boarded the Starchaser, as medics tended to the wounded and technicians marveled at the hybrid technology, Nina felt a sense of purpose settle over her. Their journey was far from over. The craft was still out there, their threat still loomed. But now, they would not face that threat alone. Now, they were part of something greater. An alliance of species united in the cause of freedom. And at the heart of it, a tiny ship and its unlikely crew, a living symbol of what could be achieved when differences were set aside and common cause was found. The Starchaser's story had only just begun, but already it was a story that would be told across the stars, a legend that would inspire generations. A tale of courage, of friendship, of the unbreakable spirit that dwelt within all living things. And as the Starchaser was made whole once more, as it prepared to set out into the vast unknown, to continue the fight and spread the message of hope, those aboard it knew that they were part of something truly extraordinary. They had faced the darkness and emerged unbroken. They had found light in the most unexpected of places. And now they would carry that light forward to ignite the stars themselves. For they were the crew of the Starchaser, and their tale was just beginning. A new era. In the weeks and months that followed the fateful battle, the Starchaser and its crew found themselves at the center of a galactic revolution. The story of their stand against the craft, of the unlikely alliance between human and Leon, spread like wildfire across the stars. On world after world, species that had long suffered under the yoke of the craft took heart from the Starchaser's example. Resistance movements sprang up, armed with new hope and the knowledge that they were not alone. The craft, once thought invincible, found themselves beset on all sides, that empire crumbling under the weight of 1,000 revolts. At the forefront of this uprising stood the Nexus Alliance, the loose confederation of species that had come to the Starchaser's aid. Under the guidance of the Alliance Council, resources and knowledge were shared, armies were raised, and a new sense of unity began to take hold. For Captain Nina Reeves and her crew, life became a whirlwind of diplomacy and action. The Starchaser, fully repaired and upgraded with the latest Leon-human hybrid technology, became the tip of the spear in the Alliance's efforts. They struck at craft strongholds, liberated enslaved populations, and served as a symbol of the new era that was dawning. At Nina's side stood Zara, the last Leon, now a trusted advisor and friend. Her knowledge of craft tactics and technology proved invaluable, while her unwavering commitment to the cause inspired all who met her. Together, Human and Leon forged a partnership that would change the face of the galaxy. Yuki, the ship's gynobiologist, found herself at the center of a scientific renaissance. The knowledge and technology recovered from Nexus 9 opened up new frontiers in medicine, ecology, and engineering. Under her guidance, the Alliance established research centers dedicated to the peaceful application of this knowledge, to healing the wounds of war and building a better future for all. Mitri and Ren, the Starchaser's tactical officer and chief engineer, became living legends in their own right. Their innovative strategies and technological breakthroughs became the stuff of military textbooks and engineering manuals across the galaxy. Together, they oversaw the construction of a new fleet, one that combined the best of human, Leon, and other allied technologies. But even as the tide turned against the craft, even as the dream of a free and united galaxy seemed within reach, the crew of the Starchaser knew that their greatest challenges still lay ahead. The craft, though weakened, were far from defeated, and there were whispers of something else, a darker threat lurking in the shadows of the cosmos. These whispers came to a head when the Starchaser, responding to a distress call from a remote system, found itself face to face with a horror beyond imagination. A craft ship, but unlike any they had seen before. Massive, pulsing with an unholy energy, it hung in the void like a wound in the fabric of space itself. As the Starchaser approached, Zara's mental voice was filled with a terror Nina had never heard before. No, the lion whispered, it can't be. They were just legends, stories to frighten children. But the horror was all too real. As the Starchaser's sensors probed the alien vessel, they detected life signs, but not life as they knew it. Twisted, corrupted, the beings aboard the ship were an abomination, a perversion of all that life held sacred. And then a voice, a presence, touched their minds. Ancient, cold, filled with a malevolence that seemed to drain the very light from the stars. Foolish children, it whispered, you think you have won. You think your pitiful alliance can stand against the true masters of the cosmos. You know nothing. You are nothing. And now you will be consumed. The battle that followed was like nothing the Starchaser had ever experienced. The alien ship, the Devourer, as Zara named it, seemed to defy the very laws of physics. It shifted and changed, its form a nightmarish kaleidoscope of twisted flesh and eldritch energy. Its weapons tore at the fabric of reality itself, ripping holes in space and time. The Starchaser, for all its advanced technology, for all the skill and courage of its crew, was outmatched. They fought with everything they had, but it was like fighting a hurricane with a candle. One by one, the ship's systems failed, the hull buckling under the onslaught of the Devourer's fury. In the end, it was Zora who saved them. Drawing upon the ancient knowledge of her people, Upon the power that lay dormant within her, she forged a connection with the Devourer, a mental link that drained her very life force. Through this link, she poured all her wisdom, all her compassion, all her hope. She showed the creature the beauty of the galaxy, the potential for life to grow and change and become something greater. For a moment, just a moment, the Devourer hesitated. A flicker of something, understanding, perhaps even regret, passed through its alien consciousness, and in that moment Zara acted. With a final, desperate surge of mental energy, she severed the link, and the feedback tore the Devourer apart from within. The Starchaser limped away from the battle, its crew battered and bruised, its hull scared and pitted. And in the medical bay, Zara lay still and silent, her life force drained to the very brink. For days she hovered on the edge of death, her crew keeping vigil by her side. And when at last she opened her eyes, it was to a galaxy changed once more. For the story of the Devourer, of the ancient horror that lurked in the darkness, had spread just as the story of the Starchaser's stand against the craft. The Alliance, realizing that the threat was greater than they had ever imagined, redoubled their efforts. New ships were built, new weapons forged, as the free species of the galaxy prepared for a war unlike any they had ever known. And at the heart of it all, the Starchaser and its crew. Battered but unbroken, wary but unyielding, they stood ready to face whatever the cosmos might throw at them. For they were the vanguard, the first line of defense against the darkness. As Zara recovered, as the ship was repaired and rearmed, Nena found herself reflecting on the strange journey that had brought them to this point. From a simple salvage mission to the front lines of a galactic war, they had been tested in ways she could never have imagined. But through it all, one thing had remained constant: the bond between the crew, the unbreakable ties of friendship and loyalty that had been forged in the crucible of adversity. Human and lion, soldier and scientist, they were more than a crew now. They were a family. And as the Starchaser set out once more, as it ventured into the unknown to face the challenges ahead, Nina knew that whatever the future might hold, they would face it together. The Starchaser, the little ship that had started it all, the beacon of hope in a galaxy besieged by darkness, sailed on into the stars, ready to fight, ready to explore, ready to stand as a shining example of all that life could achieve when differences were set aside and common cause was found. A new era had dawned, a time of unity and courage in the face of the unknown, and the crew of the Starchaser would be there to greet it, on the front lines as they had always been. For they were the guardians of the galaxy, the defenders of all that was good and right and true. And their story, the story of the human and the lion, of the bonds that could bridge any divide, would live on forever, a light to guide the way in the darkest of times. So ends the tale of the Starchaser, but not the tale of its crew, for their adventures were just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same.